Alright, so today I took a few stabs short. Ended up on the day overall minus 0.5%. Today the key was risk management. Um, so let's get into it. So basically on NQ, you can see we've been extremely bullish past, several of days, and I saw that we had traded above this high yesterday, and then of course we were coming in close contact with this high. However, the other indices you'll see, ES took this high out on Wednesday, and was well above this high, obviously. So ES has definitely been more bullish to the upside, with basically the next key high being the all-time highs level. I think today the first thing kind of where I went wrong was I assumed a little bit too much. I assumed that price needed to go lower because of how bullish we've have been. And it being Thursday, and obviously coming into today there was SMT at these highs. I was kind of already positioning myself short in my mind before actually letting the chart speak to me. But either way, again, like I said, my risk management saved me. But overall, I had expectations on what the day should do, and I just pushed that bias a little too hard. Now, what else was kind of keying me in was on the hourly here. Obviously, we've been bullish because, the daily's been bullish. So here we've just been pushing up. We saw at the beginning of the week price take out liquidity below here. There was a short-term liquidity grab on Tuesday. We took that trade. And then coming into Thursday here, right? You can see on Wednesday we put the high in here inside of the lunch hour after the AM session. Send price up. After putting the high in here, right, we failed to run that high. And then we traded lower. So after trading lower yesterday in the PM session overnight, we continued to send price lower. You see that London here put the low in. Now, at this point, coming into the morning, this is kind of what I was looking at. NQ, obviously, we traded lower on ES here. We didn't trade as low, obviously, because we've been, more bullish. And if we look at, again, these specific levels, we just taken this high out the day prior. We traded off that. But again, it was just kind of just a little dribble down. London putting in the low. And then you'll see we actually had a short-term run here at the moment around 8 o'clock, which is also there was 8:30 news today. Now YM on the other hand was actually making new highs within this run, not all-time highs, but had ran prior day high. So I was seeing that we had SMT, on the daily level here with this daily swing high. We also were having obviously that prior day SMT. So I was like, okay, well, it's Thursday. We could see this dribble down, continue lower, because we also had on the daily this fair value gap here, daily fair value gap. So I was thinking, okay, maybe NQ being the weaker, right? We took out this swing low here. ES had traded above this high here, right? So now not only do we have SMT at the highs, we also had SMT now here. Again, this SMT being with YM, not ES. So we are coming in with some SMT on the table. However, the one thing that I obviously was disregarding was just how strong we've been. Look how bullish we've been. And I even put in my journal the night prior, I said, if we get a deep retracement overnight, which we did, right? London brought price lower, taking out liquidity. If we get a deep retracement over the night, the New York AIM retracement would be off the table for me. And what I meant by that is New York AIM retracement continuing lower into potentially this daily that would then send price higher. Now, if I go into a 15-minute chart, or actually another thing I was using was this hourly inversion. We had inverted this, but if you think about it, obviously, because NQ has been the weaker, ES had not. I was really just basing it off of SMT and the fact that we've been bullish for so long. So really not the greatest trade I've taken. One more thing that I also had lined up was this hourly fair value gap from yesterday's London session. Price was clearly respecting consequent encroachment of this hourly fair value gap after running out, some short-term liquidity here from New York AIM session, right? So I saw that, but I was still kind of ignoring that, and I thought we could see lower. And the reason why I thought we could see potentially lower was after the 8:30 news, you see how it came up and it wicked. It wicked this and then closed back in the range. So looking at this as its own structure, right, from low to high, I saw how EQ was roughly, or actually exactly on the daily fair value gap high. So once I saw this forming, I thought we would see an opening range, dump pretty quickly and then reverse. Doing that, I also expected maybe NQ to be the only one to run this low, and that would create some kind of SMT potentially with the other indices, and then you'd see higher prices. Because I was always looking for higher prices to get up here, but I was just a little hesitant on when that would happen. So either way, I ended up getting short on a very silly basis. I saw this 5-minute fair value gap right here. Entered in on that for no reason other than that we wicked this high, and this high also happened to engage EQ at this range. So it was kind of, I was kind of shooting in the dark at things. And then of course, as we enter 9:30, we dig into the hourly one more time, hold it completely, and then reverse. Now the one thing I did that was good is I ended up exiting early because I was really looking for price to just immediately go lower, take out this low. Once we took this low, I was looking to go to break even on my trade because I was risking this high, and then just kind of let it play out. So I did cut it, and at that point I was basically just waiting. And if I just take this off, you'll see what ended up happening is London ended up putting in the low today. We held this hourly FEG beautifully, and we just continued up. So really, the structure here was we had this pullback, deep retracement overnight, took out, this liquidity, kept this one untapped, and then we just kind of went up. If you look at the other indices, ES here, dug into this hourly after running the liquidity, traded up. This was the shift in structure. Now looking at it in hindsight, here is your shift in structure. And then obviously pushed up, we pulled back. Here's 9:30 opening, one more solid push up, again retraced, pushed up, candle wicks respecting the fair value gap, and then we went up and eventually took out prior day high. So overall, just kind of pushed my bias on today, and for not really any good reason other than I thought today would be a reversal. So definitely learnt my lesson there. Like I said, the retracement that we saw here, this was literally just the move lower, and then we went higher. But other than that, I mean, I was able to be very smart with my risk. So I only, out of all that, lost half R, and actually the other trade that I took was in the PM session, and that came right around the 2 o'clock candle. And the reason for that was, if I just go back to that 2 o'clock candle here, we had taken prior day high, so we now had SMT with ES. So I like to see SMT with ES more than YM. So at this point we had SMT, NQ had taken this high above midnight open. We were waking it, failing to kind of reclaim above that. Now if I go into a 5-minute chart, another thing I saw actually in the hourly before I get to that is price was now trading back into that inversion here, and you can see candle bodies are respecting consequent encroachment of it. So all that led me to believe we could potentially now see the move lower, because all day we've just been building this liquidity under here, right? None of these lows were getting swept. We just kept making higher lows, higher lows, higher lows all day. So once we took that, and it was now PM session, so you had your 130 candle right here. We put in a beautiful 5-minute breaker here. We came out, we took out the short-term high, also running back above this high. We also ran above, midnight again right here. And then we broke below this 5-minute breaker. So I ended up actually getting short as price traded back into this breaker inside this macro, but I traded on the 5-minute obviously. So inside this macro, which was also lining up with that 130 opening price, got short here. This trade was actually the more responsible one, and I really liked this trade, just didn't play out. Got short there, put my stop up here, and essentially I was looking to take some off as price got below here, take my first partial, and looking to take the rest off into this hourly and hopefully hold a runner here. But at that point, I wasn't expecting much from the day, just of how it had traded. So we got immediate, displacement away, which is really nice to see. And as soon as we had that, I ended up actually moving my stop pretty aggressively, just because at that point we had closed below this 15-minute BISI, and I was like, all right, well, if price is gonna reverse, and if I am wrong, like this should hold price at least. Like we've inverted this completely. We had the higher time frame SMT. Price had also reached up into EQ or premium right here, see, of this range. So I was like, this actually is a reversal structure forming. This is looking beautiful. So I, bumped my stop to break even. Ended up actually price reversing and coming all the way back up. I got stopped out obviously. However, I tried it one more time because we kept wicking into the breaker and failing. So at this point, I was like, all right, well, I wasn't at my best emotional state. I was kind of, eager to put on a decent, winning trade. So I did something really smart. I was like, all right, I'm going to size down. At this point, I was down about, 0.4% or so. So I sized down and I put zero point 0.5 risk on to this high. So it was two contracts, and I was like, I'm just gonna let it play out. Either I'm gonna be wrong and I'm gonna lose, a full R on the day, or I'm gonna be right and I'm gonna recover some of my losses, and I'm gonna follow the plan. And ended up watching it trade out, and then as soon as we started to, hold this and then reclaim this SIBI or BISI here, I ended up actually exiting early because we were now getting towards the end of the day, and I was like, fuck it, like this is just, we're so bullish today. Got out actually early, and then we obviously had this insane 350 macro explosion, so happy I did that. For the executions, here we go. This was the morning, took 4, risked this high, exited too early as price was not trading in my favor, and then I ended up just exiting the rest, taking about a little under a 0.5% loss. And then, like I said, the PM session here got short on that breaker. Price spooled away very nicely, but then I was pretty aggressive with my stop, moved to break even, got stopped out, got back in now with the 2 contracts risking the high, and then manually took myself out, and then we shot up. So overall, risk management saved me, and now it's time to just kind of forget it. We tried to push the bias, didn't work. Let's reset and let's get back to tomorrow. It's Friday, last day of the week, and that's it. Just what matters most is the next trade.